So there's a guy named Erik Erickson who has developed a social emotional theory on human development. In different stages of development, different things happen to different people based on their different ages. In the social emotional development in emerging adulthood, one of the main focuses of this stage is marriage, because people in this age are in their 20s typically, and marriage is a huge step in their life that they take while in this stage. Therefore, marriage is the topic that we'll be focused on during this video, namely skills that will make a marriage more successful, or any other kind of relationship you can think of. Diving right into it. In 1980, the average age for marriage was 24 for men and 22 for women. Today, this has increased to 29 years for men and 26 years for women. Also, the number of divorcing couples has increased from 3.8 million in the year 2000 to 7.5 million in 2010. That's almost double. Divorce rates have simultaneously climbed to alarming rates at the current national average of 50%. I just wanted to interject something right here and say that based on these statistics, it seems that cohabitation before marriage is not associated with an increased success of a marriage. In fact, cohabitation before your marriage may indicate that your marriage is less likely to succeed. Moving on. John Gottman found, after studying thousands of lovers, that elements that are common in successful relationships are nurturing fondness and admiration, turning towards each other as friends, giving up some power, and solving conflicts together. John Lund found that there are some skills that I will be discussing in this video. The first skill that John discusses is content communication. This means say what you mean and mean what you say. This also means you hold each other 100% accountable for your words that come out of your mouth. You ignore body language, facial expression, and tone of voice. When you are content communicating, you avoid hint dropping. You are not going to play psychological games with your partner to see if they can guess what you really want. Because if your partner really loves you, they will just know what you want, right? According to John Gottman, absolutely not. One story that he tells is that a couple was driving down the road. The wife looked at the husband and said, "Dear, it's very hot." He looked back at his wife and said, "It really is." And then he kept on driving. This made her mad, so when she was thirsty a few minutes later, she knew there was a 7-Eleven down the road. She looked at the 7-Eleven, she looked right at it, then looked at her husband, and looked back at the 7-Eleven and said, "Dear, I'm very thirsty." Then the husband sped up and whizzed right past the 7-Eleven, and she became even more mad. See, the problem here was she didn't own and clearly communicate her expectations, so that her husband really had no idea what she was trying to say. Later, she learned content communication, and she was able to say, "Dear, I'm very hot. It would mean a lot to me if you turned down the temperature in the car. Thanks." The second skill that John Lund talks about is that couples should be in a relationship of equals. Now, most of us know how to be parents. Most of us know how to be a child. Most of us know how to act as a parent or a child. Many of us in our homes growing up, we saw a dominant mother or a dominant father, but not many of us saw a relationship of equals. In a relationship of equals, you say things like, "Would you please? It would mean a lot to me if. I would appreciate it if." Now, this is another language of respect and request. In a boss language or a parental language, you would say things like, "You should, you need, you ought." In a child language, you say things like, "Should I, can I, may I." A relationship of respect and request is right in between those two. John Gottman said, "How you approach a person can determine the outcome, independent of the merits of the situation." And that leads right into the next topic. Give and receive criticism appropriately. When you're doing this, you use language of respect and request. You give tellback. Now, tellback is when a person is speaking to you and you're listening, you're not interrupting, and after they finish, you say, "Okay, now let me make sure I understand what you're saying is," and then you repeat back to them what you understand. And then they either say, "Yes, that's right," or they say, "No, actually, you kind of got this detail mixed up," and then they clarify for you. This leads to the next skill, which is negotiation. Negotiation naturally follows criticism. I'm just going to go right into the steps of negotiation. Step 1, identify the problem. This is identifying only the problem and nothing surrounding the problems, like emotions if those are extra things. Number 2, focus on the facts. This is not focusing on why you feel the way you do. This is not focusing on how it happened. It's focusing on what happened. Number 3, tell back. We already talked about tell back, you know what to do. Number 4, brainstorm. Now the number 1 rule of brainstorming is there are no bad ideas. This means that when one person says an idea, the other person is not shooting everything down, saying, that's dumb, that's not going to work, that's stupid. Every idea is considered a good idea. After the brainstorming process is over, then you reach an agreement by discussing which of the ideas on the table would possibly work the best. Now there's a couple I wanted to tell you a story about. The husband got home one day and told his wife, "Wife, I have a lot of money saved up and I would love to go on a vacation and treat you to something really nice." What do you say? The wife was happy. But then after thinking about it, later she approached her husband and she said, "Husband, I was thinking about it and I would rather work on the house and buy and replace our furniture than not spend all that money on a vacation." The husband didn't want to do that, so they went through the negotiation process. What ended up happening is he took his half of the money and went on his own vacation without his wife. She took her half of the money and bought new furniture. When they got back, the husband was happy about his vacation. He told his wife about it. The wife was happy about her new furniture. She told her husband about it, and they were both happy. Now you may think this is a way bizarre arrangement, but the fact is that different things will work for different people. That's the end of this video. If you have any questions, please contact me and I can give you more information.